So you are in skip one. You've come back here after quote unquote rescuing, liberating, acquiring the droid Prime. And you've come back to skip one, and through various means, you've realized that there are several people outside shop. Um, and you're not too pleased about it. So when we left it, there was like several groups outside there. There was definitely you recognized the people from the Droid Liberation Front that you had met outside of the holding facility that you went to. You had a brief chat with them, and you could also, you think, make out what looked to be Imperial agents who are dressed up in that way that like they never really quite look scraggly and poor enough to like pull it off. And they've been like talking there with the Trandoshans, who are who sort of like man the fake shop in front of place, and that's been going on for a while now. And as if you remember, Prime had disguised itself, so it doesn't look like well, it still looks big, but doesn't look like this insane droid. You think under close scrutiny someone would figure out pretty quick, or if someone spoke with him they would figure it out very quickly. But for now you're kind of like in the marketplace, and if you imagine there are stalls everywhere, and like there's levels up above you, and like tents and stuff all over the place, as well as like larger buildings. And at the end, basically attached to one of the walls of this huge hangar where the market is three-story sort of building. You can see at the top the sort of shimmer of the force field there, where you had met him before on the balcony. And yeah, that's what you can see at the moment.
Is the traffic, because the bottom level is still kind of like the market stall, like to this building, right? Is there still like traffic going in and out of this place, or how have these Imperial agents seemingly kind of shut the front door down?
No. There's no sign of like them having strong armed their way at all. It seems that they're trying to be undercover and like not make a big deal. You think that could happen probably with like a quick, but it hasn't happened yet. So, in to all intents and purposes, like the market is still functioning perfectly normally.
Yeah, Shell will just kind of look over to the others. What are the odds that we can just like walk past them and not have them care?
I think the odds are very bad, but I do have a bit of a plan. And it's so idiotic, it just might work. Here's the thing.
You're becoming a part of the crew already.
Wonderful. I feel good. So, you are very good at the words. If you go towards this group while they're all yelling and start talking quietly, just try to talk over the sea of them. Say you want to speak to and get louder and louder and louder. And finally, you yell and you say, fine, if does not want his precious robot, he can go get it himself and we go pick the farthest distance away from where we are. So if we go into where the hangar is, where all those other ones are, pick a ship or pick an area, maybe even the junkyard, then they will all go running, and then we can just sneak in.
You're right, that is pretty dumb.
I know, but unfortunately, well, it was the only thing I could think of on this short of notice. I mean, it may seem like a month has gone by, but it really hasn't. It's only been like, 3 minutes, so.
I'm worried that using name out loud.
Yes, but they were all calling name.
Heat.
But they were all calling name. Which I just out of character,
yeah.
Lloyd, I believe they weren't they? Everyone was asking to speak to
So you're kind of too far to like hear specific words, but you definitely would have seen like at one stage the droid people like pointing up at the balcony and like gesturing in that direction. You can assume that they at least know someone is in there that isn't these Trandoshans,
Okay.
Because I think if you were close enough, like they would make you. So in my mind, you're like still quite a bit away, and you're like around a corner, like by like a hookah stand, and there's like this alien who's like blabbering at you constantly, like get out of the way because people want to come and like take part in his goods. But yeah.
But even if we don't use his name specifically, I do think that a distraction may be in order, at least just enough to get one of you with him, it'll point at Prime, past these guys and up the stairs. Like if we can just, that's all we need. If we can just get that, we'll be okay. And I think I can pull that off. I don't know if I can pull your plan off, but I can at least get us that, hopefully.
Okay, what about this? Kishal and you go into kind of the middle, like you're both drunk and you're both ready to fight. And maybe I can try and see if I can find something that looks kind of thermal detonator size. You can yell, "He's got a thermal detonator," and then Kishal can like throw it at the ground. And maybe that will send them all running.
So in front, where the place that we're trying to get into, in front, we have the Throtians, these droid people, the same droid people that we had a conflict back on the other planet. Is that right?
So the people
And then-
went outside the holding facility on Mon Gaza, those that droid crew. There's 4 of them, and they're there.
Okay, so outside of those droid people and the Trojans, that's it. Or are there Imperials
No,
there too?
there's
The Imperials.
Imperials, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Those are the people that I'm worried about.
You think Imperials.
Okay.
They don't like openly show themselves as Imperials, but like from the way that like one of them carries himself and the way that he stands perfectly like straight as if he's got like a pole up his ass and like has this like sneering sense of superiority, you think he must be Imperial.
What I want to do is while Cassian and Shell are trying to hash out this plan, I want to try and find a nearby terminal that I can slice into. And I'm going to send an alert on the Imperial, whatever, like wanted. And I'm going to flag these droid people.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah, you can do that. So you can step away from here and like away from this hookah palace, and like make your way down towards there's like one of the nearby cantinas and like sneak inside there and like make your way to a terminal.
Okay. Yeah. So like before, while they're talking, or whatever, I just have my data pad out and I'll just like selfie them real quick, get their picture, and then I'm just going to go and slice in and then like just quickly throw something together as far as like they're dangerous droid smuggling criminals, highest level alert to apprehend them. So, and then send it out as a warning. So any Imperial data pad would go off and then like their picture would come up and all this stuff would show up.
So it would be easy to hack into, for example, like a bounty hunter network, or easier. But Imperial networks are always difficult. But you've done it before. You probably can do it again, but it will be quite difficult.
Okay. So, what's the difficulty?
So it'll be a red and 3 purples.
3 purples. Okay. And this is against. Where's my computer?
Like this is to have the effect of basically like bleep, bleep, like appearing on every local Imperial. You can probably put it out there, but if you want like an immediate alert, it's like another level on top,
Right, because I kind of like want they're squabbling, and I kind of want this to like pull their attention, and then be like, "Oh, hey,
Yeah, like the cop talking with the person who's not like the murderer suddenly gets the call of like we got a guy doing whatever. Like
Right.
It's like, oh, they got to go handle that instead of whatever black market.
And if I use a force point, what does that do?
You can turn a green into a yellow.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do that because this is already pretty difficult as is. Okay.
Okay, so not a success.
Okay, I'm going to use really quick before we total that out. I'm going to use. I just took this talent. I'm going to use my natural programmer, which allows me to make per session one computer reroll.
Okay, nice.
So I'm going to do this again. 3 purple, you said. Okay.
That's
worse.
bad.
Worse.
Okay, so
oh well.
not a success. There is an advantage, but there's also a despair. So let's try and parse this. So you're like, I think you probably like get in, and I think the despair will involve like, there's a notable breach in skip 1 of someone trying to hack into Imperial records, right? Like that would probably, I think to me, seem like a pretty big deal. And they know the terminal. The advantage, however, I think might be that it still goes through. Like you do kind of make some sort of headway, and there is like a sudden alert that like the Droid Liberation Front are on skip 1.
Or it could even be if if I can offer another alternative too, of just that these Imperials get this notice that they're being hacked from a terminal that's like very close, and the rest of us can use that as a distraction to try to like get by them.
That works as both despair and an advantage. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Let's go with that. So I guess like you don't know this, Kitra, because you're in the
Right.
cantina. You're like, and I would imagine that they're sophisticated enough that in terms of like, it's not going to be like, nah, you didn't make it. It's going to like, you're going to think you're doing it. You know, you're in the process of it. You know, but you would see then if you're watching the Imperials that like this one particular guy, he like puts his hand to his ear for a second, and then like turns away from the others, pulls out a little data pad, and is like reading it, and then like looks up and like scans for like a sign, and then like his eyes lock on where Keitra just went.
I think we might have a distraction coming in pretty soon.
I think when Kashal sees that, he turns away from the others and he has that short-term communicator, and he goes, "Tell Kitra, you might have a little bit of company here, real quick."
Yeah, you see that he like sort of like says something quietly to the others with him, the other three, and they like move away from the stall and like walk right past you. At that moment, can you specifically, Shell, give me a sneak, something equivalent?
Let's see.
I think
It would be
Like
stealth.
Stealth or skullduggery.
To like hide your face. It will be 2 purples.
So it's specifically stealth, not like deception. It's okay if it's just like that guy's face is on a wanted poster, and he,
I mean, that's
like,
the
you know,
case,
that
is-
level
is-
of just like,
Is because like
Yeah.
there were cameras in the place that you broke into, and so like this guy has recently looked
Oh.
at pictures of you,
Yeah.
and so I'm trying to think.
I mean, I'm
like,
just purely grabbing at extra dice
Yeah.
here. I'll
I think
come
we'll
clean.
call
So
it stealth.
yeah,
You gotta love Jeff's honesty. I love it.
No, that's good.
Yep.
my stealth is not great. You know what? I'm gonna use a force point. I need
Nice.
it. You said how many purple?
2. Okay, so just an advantage. Okay, so I will say that he's like walking by and he like looks in your direction, and maybe he like sees you for a second, and then there's like another bleep bleep in his ear, and he's like, whoop, and he like doesn't quite process it in the second that he sees you. He might later, but he like continues to walk by with the rest of his boys.
Yeah, the second there's that, like, I imagine that like accidental eye contact of like,
Yes.
don't look at him,
Uh-huh.
fuck, damn it, like,
Yeah.
and then you look at him, and then seeing him just go by, Shell will just like kind of wince to himself of like, that's not great, but then like just kind of immediately see the opportunity and just look to the others and Prime and just kind of like nod his head towards the like now mostly open stall with like, let's go right now, please.
Yeah, I'd probably be already moving in that direction. And I don't, well, I mean, it's already happened, but I was going to say with that advantage, I probably would have tried to bump into the Imperial guy to like kind of throw him off.
Yeah, I think that makes sense
You know?
too. Yep. So I think like probably Shell is doing that thing where like you're trying not to look at somebody, but if you are too obvious about not looking at them, it will be obvious, and so you're kind of like, but then you make the accidental eye contact, and that's when Cassian just like sort of like, oh, excuse me, sir, sorry, like bumps into him and turns around, and yeah, there's enough distraction that he doesn't quite immediately go, seize them, and he like walks past with the rest of his guys into the cantina where Kitra is or was. When you heard that alert from Kishal, Kitra, what are you doing?
I'm going to immediately terminate the connection to the terminal, and then I guess I would roll stealth to try to just blend in, and or kind of just eventually try to make my way out of the cantina.
Okay. So yeah, I'll say like because you're not hiding at the moment, like you can walk in among all the various people in the cantina and like shove yourself in there, and so by the time you see them, like definitely walk in and like do that sort of like saloon doors open and they like look around the cantina. You can roll a stealth. It's going to be 2 purples, and you can have a boost from the time you had to prepare. Oh, nice. Okay. So, success and a triumph and 2 threat.
Threat, yeah.
Okay. What do we think?
I would say 2 success and a triumph. I would say they don't know it's me, and I'm blended in, but the threat would be they know from the signal that I haven't left.
Okay.
I was going to say maybe it's like a lockdown sort of thing where they don't know who in here it is, but they know someone in here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, and then what about this triumph?
The triumph, I would say, and this is based on the stealth. Oh man, I hate to do it, but I will. Being a slicer, I think I would have this. I do the wipe the data pad, like I kill it. It's like the equivalent of taking the SIM card out of the cell phone kind of thing. Just like, boom, like you can bring this back even if you wanted to, kind of thing.
Okay.
And it kills me because it's like my lifeline.
Yeah.
But I'd rather be alive than Imperial prison. So
yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So if they search you, they won't find anything basically incriminating.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so they're coming in here and they're sort of like looking around, and they're still trying like nominally to like appear as if they're not Imperial agents. And so they like begin to sort of search through the place. And you see like some of the men with him like are very tall. They have the look of like stormtroopers who are not wearing helmets, you know? They have that military sort of walk about them. And yeah, so they're kind of looking through and they're getting closer and closer to you, and like you see them like shake down somebody who's like near the terminal at this stage, and like grab him and like slam his face down onto a table and like, who is it? Well, who was it? As this is all going on. Outside, you have moved your way towards the Trandoshans and the Droid Liberation Front, who are still there, but no Imperials, thankfully. So yeah, you can approach.
So we'll just walk knowingly like up to the Trandoshans and just kind of give them that like nod of like, it's us, we're here, like just kind of that the wordless acknowledgement of like, you should take us to the guy sort of look.
Yeah. The droid people will like see that someone is walking by and be like, hey.
Shell will just put his hand up and keep walking.
So one of them will put a hand on a blaster, and the Trandoshans will like look and move very quickly, sort of, and like move in that direction. And there's a sort of like moment where like they pull blasters, and then the Trandoshans pull blasters, and they look to you to see if you've pulled blasters. Sort of like a standoff situation that emerges pretty quickly.
Once blasters get pulled, Shell will pull his blaster, pointing it with the Trandoshans at these droid people.
I will. At first, I'm gonna like hold both hands up, but then I'm gonna kind of like do the finger gun, and I'm going to activate my glove, and the blaster's just going to come like shooting into my hand, pointed at one of the
Cool.
schmucks.
So,
And that's a intimidate for effect there.
oh, definitely. Yep. I mean,
I think Kashal is actually looking at our hybrid friend and seeing what his reaction is before he does anything.
to the droid, do you mean?
Because he, if I remember correctly, we had to convince him to go with us because
Yes.
he was wanting to go with these liberators.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that Kashal wants to be on the wrong side of our friend. Honestly, after seeing what he did on the planet with his maker, his mother, I'm not sure if the others are thinking that, but that is definitely what Kashal is thinking. He's got survival mode on.
Yeah.
Bill's mostly just drawing for self-defense. I'm just like,
Yeah.
these guys are pointing blasters at me.
So this guy starts speaking, and he says, "All right, look, nobody needs to die here. There are Imperials. They were standing right next to us, and they know about the droid. You're not getting out of here, and neither are we, unless we go right now."
What droid are you talking about?
He like does this sort of like expression with his head. I know what droid you're talking about. You know what I'm talking about.
Ah, the droid you stole that ridiculous-looking arm off of. Yes, I imagine he would be trying to look for you. Probably very upset as well. You should think about giving it back to him.
This is not helpful. There are Imperials, an agent.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think Imperials would care if two group of people started killing each other? Shooting each other? I mean, perhaps maybe one of you might survive. Maybe all of us might survive. Maybe our Trandoshan friends, and I'm going to go look to like both the Trandoshans and go, brains. Don't worry, I didn't forget that. Maybe our two Trandoshan friends here were going to kill you. Maybe nobody has to die. But we have a plan, and it does not involve anything happening to anyone.
What I'm saying,
And I
to you
say that
is-
with such like dripping, like, shut up and let us go, because you know what I mean. Trying to convey that, like, we got this.
He says, what I'm saying to you is that if this droid does not get off this station immediately, that it's going into Imperial hands. They know where it's going. They know it's here. Nobody wants that.
Well,
If we don't get this droid through that door, and I'll just point to the stairs, then we're all dead. So that kind of takes precedence for me right now.
Kashal, who's usually pretty quiet, he says, well, my suggestion would be we take this off the streets. We don't know when those Imperials are going to be back. We can hash this out inside. As I see it, we're just making a spectacle here. And the more eyes that are seeing us, the more eyes that are going to be talking to those lackeys that went off that way for the short little, you're welcome, by the way, for that distraction that we did. Kashal is not above taking credit for something that somebody else did.
All right. Well, let's discuss it inside then, but we have to discuss it.
As he's going inside, he's going to give Kassan a look that basically says, be ready to kill these guys.
There's this tingle in your spine, Kashal, of like combat training, and you can like get that shiver and like look, and you can see that like if this building's right in front of you, like behind you, and you like turn, you can see that up on a roof there are more people. There are two people, one of which is the Zabrak woman who had like escaped from you, and they're like perched there and they're watching the whole thing, and you know that that's Black Sun. So it looks like everybody's in on this situation and everyone's aware of it.
so are we going past the Trandoshans then, up the
Yes.
stairs? Like,
yeah, with
okay.
the droid guys.
So Guess as we go up, Shell, it would be highly prudent if you would do all of the talking.
Hopefully we can get this done pretty quick.
Look, I just want the money. You just want the money.
We're on the same page, man.
Very quickly, and I'm going to try and lower my voice to be like just Shell and I being able to hear what I'm saying. Just hypothetical situation. If were to suddenly pass on from this life due to a overabundance of blaster fire, would that create enough of a power vacuum that we would be able to escape undetected and unscathed for the first little while? Or are we looking at immediate death here? Is someone else going to take over? Is there a number 2? There's always a number 2.
I'm not worried about who's coming from under I'm worried from who's coming from above. He's very well connected. Very well connected. If we kill him, and there's even a chance that it's us, we're on a list. And not an Imperial list, a worse list.
Fair. Okay. Yeah, we could do this. You're going to do all the talking. That's good.
Kutra, you can see that now, like, some sort of, like, order has been established in this cantina, and, like, the music has stopped and everyone is quiet, and, like, these dudes are, like, stalking around the place looking for people. And one of them, like, this leader who has an eye patch, is, like, has this, like, thing out, and it's, like, bleep, 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 as he, like, walks around the place, sort of, like, scanning for who it's supposed to be that's, like, caused this problem. And he's seemingly, like, infuriated because it's not finding anyone. Like, no matter which way he turns it, it doesn't get any closer now that you've turned off your, like, data pad. And so he's, like, stalking around the place, and he's, like, starting to question people, like, who was most recently at that terminal. And people are, like, trying not to answer. Like, there is a sort of, like, no snitches sort of mentality here. But you think it's, like, not long before, like, they start hurting people, and then someone points at you.
Yeah, I think she would. She'd just be like sitting there, just kind of looking, like just looking around, but not trying to like stare at these Imperials. And then I think like when she's like trying to like just kind of like shuffle her way closer to the exit is when it's all like her. And I think at that point, I'm just, I mean, there's like no point in hiding anymore. I'm going to try to kind of like run out of the cantina.
Okay, yeah.
And try to like get away, I guess.
So let's say you've edged your way towards the door. And that's the point where like this one little alien with like 6 arms, he's like pinned down on the ground, and like one of the stormtroopers like punches him, and he's like he's like pointing in your direction as you're at the door, and like the dude's head turns and looks, and that's when you can like duck out and start running.
Yeah, and then I'd get on the comm link. Like, no pressure, guys, but I need a little help here.
Yeah, so you start sprinting into the market, I guess, and it's busy, and like there's people everywhere, but you can see that they're chasing you. That like these 3 dudes are chasing you. The main guy is not. He like stands at the doorway to the cantina, and like as they follow you, like look back over your shoulder, you can see that he is like taking out a comm device.
All right. Is it? I guess it would still be stealth to just try to like maybe grab some sort of scarf or something in the market, and then kind of like try to, kind of like conceal myself.
Yes. It'll just be 2 purples, but I'm going to use a bad guy point to make it a red and a purple.
Is there a way for us to also talk on the communicator or
Yes.
like so is that okay?
Yeah, but I mean,
So I mean,
you are in company with the other people, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say when Kitra comes on the comm, Kashal reaches down and mutes his or whatever. You cap it to mute it. So he only hears the very first part. Hey guys, I need some. And he,
Okay, so to advantage, I'll say that you're like running and like they're catching you pretty quickly. Like these are clearly like not only excellent soldiers but like athletes in terms of like they're large and they like fight for a living, so they're faster than you, and they're also much better at like shoving people out of their way. And they're gaining on you, and just as like one of them is about to grab you, there's like a, let's say, a cabbage stand. Like classic Avatar fashion. Like you leap over and he like barrels into, and there's like this big like poof, crash of like stuff going all over the place, and like he like tumbles onto the ground and he's like oh that way, as the other one like runs past him and continues to follow. But they'll give you a bit of breathing room.
Yeah, at that point, like when I have a moment, like I imagine she just ducks behind this alley and she's just her back against the wall, breathing heavy from running, and then she's just kind of like, "Hello," trying to like get anybody on the comm, and then she's like, "Son of a," and that's when it would be like it would just do the screen wipe and it goes back to the other team.
Okay, so you've like made your way up those tight stairs in Oom's headquarters, and you're like brought up into like the much fancier sort of top level, and out onto the balcony. And so it's a little crowded now with like these droid people with you, as well as like the Trandoshans who are here to make sure nothing dodgy happens. And who's like sitting at the table and like looking sort of bemused. And you can see like very clearly across like from this balcony on the other side, thankfully there's a force field between you, are two Black Sun people who are like watching the proceedings. One of them is that woman, the Zabrak woman, and the other is like laid down on the ground with what looks like a very high-powered sniper rifle, sort of like aimed at the balcony. And looks up and appears to be pretty displeased with the situation. What is this?
You brought the droid.
Did you?
Yeah.
You also brought these? What are they? Rebels?
I don't know. They want the droid too, but we're bringing it to you. So they might want to like buy it off of you or whatever. They're not with us.
You also brought the Black Sun.
No?
He like looks across the balcony where there are two Black Sun members and like looks back to you. It is a coincidence then that they have been parked up on that balcony for the past 40 minutes.
I mean, to say that we brought them isn't really fair. We had no interaction with them.
What would you say is fair
They're-
to say? They are here because of you.
They're here because of the droid.
Because you allowed them to know about the droid.
Everybody knows about the droid.
And whose fault is that, Shell Tosca?
Everybody knew about the droid before we took the mission. That was half the reason that you sent us to go get it so fast. Because you knew it was a hot ticket item.
He looks down at a data pad and then back up. And there are Imperials here too.
I don't know what you want me to say.
Well, you see, the Empire already knew about this droid. And they knew about it so much that they brought almost a contingent of stormtroopers to a backwaters jail that is generally only held drunkards and the occasional minor miscreant. But to have a contingent of stormtroopers there, that they knew long before, when they even dug him out of this vault that he was in.
Oh, you told us that this was a race. that we needed to get this thing before anybody else was coming for it, because everybody was coming for it. This circus is part of this act.
However, we have brought you the droid. And it is what you wanted. And you seem to be a very powerful person here.
Well, I am now that I have the droid.
Indeed. And now that you have the droid, I imagine that our compensation would be forthcoming.
You would imagine that. He like looks to the Trandoshans and like does this head movement, and like they both move towards the droid, and like you can see they both have restraining bolts, and they like attempt to do that, and that does not go how they expect it goes. Like they try to attach, and then Prime just like knocks them back and into the dirt, and looks the same tired expression that he always has. It doesn't like betray any sort of like shock, but looks to the Trandoshans. This is normal for the droid?
Who knows what normal is for that thing? I can't figure it out. It wasn't my job to figure it out.
Kishal speaks up and says, they don't like being restrained. And they certainly doesn't see itself as working for you. You might want to ask whether it'll work for you.
It's an object.
Look, as much as I love philosophy, it's great. Payment. We're out of here.
He like looks at the droid and says, "You work for me now. Is that clear? I don't want any sort of violence to transpire here." And Prime sort of like is unclear about what's happening, and says, "I work for you. I am an employee." And he says, "Yes," in a manner of speaking. And Prime says, "This is often a mode of deception among organics, in a manner of speaking. What do you mean, literally?" And so they have this sort of like back and forth where is trying to explain that like he will be a slave. In the meantime, Kitra, you're like pressed against this wall, and you see like one of the guys like rush past you. And then like the other one who's like limping from having run into that cart is moving a little bit slower, and he like turns his head, "Hey, don't move!" and like pulls a blaster and like fires in your direction. I'll need another stealth or athletics if you have it.
Oh, let me see. Do I have athletics?
If you want to try and run, or if you want to try and hide, I guess, you know.
I am better at hiding.
Okay.
So, still what? One purple, two purple?
2 purples.
Ooh. Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so you like run to the end of the little alleyway, and you turn to your right, and then immediately turn left again, and you like, thankfully, conveniently, like maybe like there's destiny here. You like rush down, and there are several like sudden turns, and you like think that you've lost him for now, but you can hear behind you still this like of like open blaster fire in this market, seemingly having no concern about like whatever other authorities are here, just like trying to kill you.
Yeah, I almost imagine with it's a classic Star Wars moment, just like whatever, like go like dive into a dumpster or something just like totally disgusting, so they just kind of like go like run past.
Yep.
You know, like a junk pile or something.
Yeah. You can like duck into like a shop maybe, and and there's like this like little weird looking octopus alien who's like because you're like touching all of his weird like alien goods and like corrupting them with your weird human presence, and he's like and you can see the guy like like huffing and puffing as he like walks past the entrance to the shop, and he's like looking around and sort of like looks in the window and like can't quite see, and then we'll like back to the others. Conversation between Prime and has like finished, and they've reached some sort of agreement. It looks like some sort of understanding, and says, "All right, you've brought me the droid. And that's what we agreed on. Breadstick."
Del will reach out.
Real quick, Lloyd, while that was happening, is there any chance that Kashal could have, as he's kind of just hanging back, reached down to his communicator and he would have just tapped on it a little bit, switching to and opening a just a frequency to the Black Sun, so that they would have been listening to probably the last half of this. Mm-hmm. So he just kind of does that, kind of like one of those things where you cross your arms and he's like,
Yep. So you can do that, and you'll see like the sort of dudes on the roof across. They're like watching very intently, and you can see like some sort of like dialing in of the sniper rifle. There is a force field here, and you wonder why they're pointing a gun at the force field. But even so, it's like scanning occasionally and like seemingly keeping track of who's talking. It looks like. Takes the cred stick and like places it into his data pad and like boop, 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 and then takes it out and hands it back to you.
Jill will do the customary check to make sure that we have in fact got the money.
Yes.
There's anything less than 20,000.
There's not.
Yeah, full amount.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, Shell will just look back to the others and just give them like the, yep, we're good.
So, were we privy to what they had agreed upon? Like, were we able to hear it, or did they go off and like kind of talk quietly?
Do you mean and the droid?
Yes.
Yeah, they would have been talking about it here basically. That has lied to the droid to convince him that he will be an employee and not a slave.
So you'll be like actually paid and receiving a wage?
No, definitely not. Has convinced him that this is normal. Like he's a smooth talker and this is his job. And you think like the droid of all like is impressionable and doesn't, like can be convinced in ways that like maybe a person might not pick up on.
Me, kind of how we got him onto the ship in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Like he's incredibly intelligent, but also kind of naive in that he hasn't dealt with many organics,
Yeah, kind of high intelligence, low wisdom kind of
exactly.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah. I think before going, I would probably ask both of them, I guess, because they're both one's sitting, one's standing. What would you like us to do about your mother?
Shoots you a look in confusion.
Shell will just give you this look casting of like, why would you say that?
I think you see this smile slowly spread across Kashal's face when you do that. He approves.
She must be taken care of.
Would you like us to take her to a planet where she will be safe, or would you like to take care of her here?
Here.
Or, more importantly, shall we both ask her what she wants?
Yes.
I think Prime can take care of her.
We should ask. He turns to I will go and speak with my mother. And then goes, you are my employee. You're required to stay here.
I'm going to walk out. I'm going to leave these guys if they're not going to go with me.
Good call.
All right.
Good call.
You
Jeff.
know what? I'll start walking out and go, we will ask her and we will let you know.
I think Kashal is probably the last one to leave, and probably these poor robot liberation dudes are probably just like, what the F is happening right now?
Yes.
But as Kashal walks by Prime, he looks at Prime and he smiles and he says, thank you. Thank you for living up to your end of the bargain, just like we did. You came with us here. And as you remember, once we got you here, you can do what you want to do. You don't have to work for anyone. And then he goes past Prime and starts moving down the stairs.
So will shoot you a look as you leave, and like Prime will turn and start speaking to him, and also these droid people are there, and like there's definitely something going to happen in that room. You think, although what it is?
Yeah, so I'm getting down the stairs quick.
So is it safe to say then that we have our money?
You have your money, yes.
All right.
Yes, we have our money.
Cool. Then I guys, I have been waiting. This is the third. I know this is the third session, but I've been waiting for that 5,000 creds.
This is the most money they've ever had. Like,
Oh, yeah.
by like a large margin. You would come outside, and I think at this stage maybe turn your communicators back on and be like, guys, what the fuck, help me! Like if Kita, who's like somewhere in the market, and you can hear like blaster fire. But also you would notice now definitely leaving the place, Kishal, like you know where those black sun people are, and you can see that sniper rifle has followed and is pointing in like down at you. It's like watching you. Now whether they're using it as a sort of like scope or whether they intend to like shoot you is a question you don't know the answer to.
There's not much he can do now about it. He's just going to hope. His communicator is still open. And I think he would say, well, it'd really be a shame if someone ruined the party in there. And then he'll reach down and shut his communicator off.
Okay, Kitra, you're like in the market and you've like hidden in this little octopus man's shop. And the guys have like passed you. And you can like pop your head back out and like move in the opposite direction, and like you're kind of doing that very sort of careful walk around and like making sure that they can't see you. And you can communicate now with the other guys. I think they would have turned their communicators back on.
Yeah, I think she's just trying to nonchalantly like walk through the market, quick pace but not running. And guys, I'm heading back to the ship. Lots of heat. Yeah. Get to the ship quickly. And then she would switch channels to the ship. Chip, start preparing the ship for takeoff.
There's like a in response, and then a of like, there are people here.
What people, Chip?
Imperials.
On the ship?
Around the ship.
Whatever you do, do not let them in the ship.
Okay, I'll try.
Switch back over. Guys, don't go to the ship. There's Imperials at the ship. Whatever. I hope you can get this message.
Where do we go then? Oom's place is about to blow up like a thermal detonator. I don't know what's gonna happen, but something's gonna happen.
You said that there is some black sun here, correct?
Yeah, there's definitely the two black sun above, opposite Oom's place. So the Zabrak woman who was with you, and then another black sun person.
Okay.
You think there's probably more on the facility, definitely, you know?
Definitely.
Okay. So, but I don't know, or Keitra doesn't know that Kishal has connections
No.
there. Okay. Yeah, so Keitra would say, I may have a way for us to lie low here. But it may cost us.
Cost us what?
If we're lucky, credits. If we're unlucky, credits and maybe more.
You're gonna need to be a little bit more specific here. It kind of matters.
So we know the Black Sun is here. I
Don't like where you're going with this already, but continue.
Look, not going to hide us. We can't go to the ship. The Imperials are looking for us. The Black Sun are here. I have a connection.
With the Black Sun.
They may be willing to help us out in return for a favor.
Selling favors to the Black Sun is not a good way to get ahead in this galaxy.
I would agree.
Understandably, but it's either doing a favor for the Black Sun or spending eternity in Imperial hell. So, which would you rather have?
I feel like that might be a false dichotomy, to be fair.
All right, well, I'm listening. Any other plans?
I have a feeling that things here are about to get pretty hot. If the Imperials go looking for this droid and they know that it's here, they might even know where it is. And the Black Sun is looking for this droid, and wants to keep this droid. I'd bet a good chunk of the credits that we just got, and that's a lot of credits, that something's about to go down. And if these Imperials get pulled away by whatever insanity is about to happen here, it might give us an opening, at least to thin out enough of them that we can take out the rest and get out of here.
Kashal's just been kind of following along as you guys are kind of having this conversation. He says, I don't do too much of the heavy lifting when it comes to the making the plans. I usually just like to shoot shit or hit it. But seems to me we might be able to pay a few credits to somebody to drop a little bit of information to those Imperials that saw a droid walking into the very place they went away from. That seemed to have made a deal with some he chuckles a little bit, less than above board space merchants. And if they're looking for that droid, they're going to want to be there a lot more than hanging around a couple of space scows. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but
label's not important, but
right.
I do like where you're going with this. If the Imperials get a tip that that thing is there, for sure, there's got to be some sort of like commendation that that guy who gets the droid gets, right? Like, did they do that in the Empire? Like, you do something good for them, they give you a medal or whatever.
Sure.
So if the people at our ship are the first ones to know, maybe some of them get tempted and the others have less friends.
Well, the other part of this too is that even if we went back to the ship with the Imperials on it, the only thing that they are going to be looking for really is the droid. I mean,
they might know that we were the ones who broke through their prison. So if they have our faces somewhere, then that's bad news.
And if they know that droid, they may know who made it, who is currently on our ship.
There is that.
And I've never known Imperials to hand out medals, but I do know they hand out blaster shots in the back. So,
well, we could always try to kill them. I mean, shooting is always an option. Kishal likes shooting.
Did Chip give us any? Does Chip have any intel as far as like how many people, ish?
So he would say, if you like spoke to him again, that they're not just outside your ship. It's like there's an Imperial presence in the hangar that are like stopping people from leaving. They are also around your ship, but they're also around everyone's ship. It looks like.
Look, it just doesn't sound like we can go to the ship right now. Trying to leave would only bring more suspicion to us at this time. Can't go back to Ooms, so where does that leave us?
What was the name of the Zabrak woman?
Scenario.
Well, we did save Scenaria. She may have a sense of honor. I'm not knowing the Black Sun to have much of that, but
Well, I'm sure that even
Our
rescue.
you go.
I'm sure even rescuing someone could be a favor for a favor. But what if you just sliced into the warning system of this place? Maybe set off some sort of a klaxon Hydra.
Well, there's an issue with that. I do not have a data pad.
Okay.
So so you guys were looking for a distraction. So I caused one. Unfortunately, it drew more attention than I was looking for, and I had to ditch my gear.
All right. Wait a minute. Gee, if only we all came into some kind of money to which we could buy you a new data pad. Like right now.
If only we had such glorious funds suddenly dropped into our laps.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, and I'm just going in. Thank goodness for Og dudes. Gear. Here we are.
So this is pretty big
Get some
bazaar,
of
so
that.
you'd be able to find like a shop for most things you think that like you're looking for, including like restricted and black market gear, while you're here.
Cool. So I mean, if only we got like, I don't know, some data spikes or a Black Ops data breaker.
Yeah, we did just make 5,000 credits per person. So buying data pad and even extra supplies is definitely not off the table.
Yeah. So I mean, how much is it?
So let's meet at the Black Market Radio Shack, and we'll go from there.
You there?
Okay, so you can kind of converge in the same place, like I guess walking in different directions. You eventually get to like a pretty decent sized building as opposed to like a market stall. That's like a techie sort of shop. They have like a big junkyard sort of out the back for like ship parts and things like that. As well as like inside you'll find various like components and like little bits for upgrading weapons and armor and things like that, as well as like technical slicer gear and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah, why don't you just buy a slicer gear than the one that looks like a data pad? I'm pretty sure they have that.
Yeah.
I mean, it only costs 500 credits. And I'm sure somebody here could talk them down maybe to 400.
So I did have, that was my slicer gear. So yeah, I'll need new gear. And so, yeah, so we, good.
And I'm actually going to buy something for Kitra too. But here's the thing, and the reason why I'm going to buy it is because I'm going to use an adorable little ability called Know Somebody. Because see, I know this guy, this guy that runs this shop, and you see, just right behind, you can get certain things, and I think he might have exactly what we are looking for. Now, it is going to be something that you're going to have to use in conjunction with your gear. But it's called a signature modulation pad. Basically, it makes it very, very hard for someone while you're slicing for them to find you. And let's see, I'll see if I can pick it up.
Yeah, so you do know a guy who like works in the back of this place, like a pretty renowned slicer, called Evran, and he like looks up and does this sort of like "you son of a bitch" when you arrive, and like comes over and like does a handshake, and like sits you down opposite him, offers you a death stick.
I'll take it and I'll put it in my pocket for later, which is a little thing that we've been doing like back and forth every time I've come to see him. Mm-hmm. He knows I never smoke them, but I always just take them because it's the polite thing to do. Evram, I am looking for a signature modulation pad.
Expensive gear.
Yes, restricted. It can be.
Hard to find.
You are correct on all of those things. But we needed to assist us in doing a thing. With a thing and a thing.
Trouble with Imperials.
You know. Yes.
Well, maybe I have one. Maybe I know a guy who knows a guy. I can get you one. But it's not going to be cheap. They're in pretty high demand.
How much would not be cheap be exactly?
How much does it cost in the book?
It costs 250 credits. They're actually not terribly expensive, sure. But I mean, we can bump that up to like 350 or something.
Yeah, he'll like suck in his teeth and say, "I could maybe do 300."
300.
Maybe.
300 would be acceptable.
That's why I like you.
I do not like to barter, and I do not like to try and take credits away from friends.
I don't like to take credits away from friends either, so I don't. And he like shoots you this like shit-eating grin.
And so I'll actually pay the marked up 300 credits for it.
Yep. So he'll like he's on like a slidey chair and like slides across and like with one perfect rotation like lands at the correct shelf and then begins like searching until finally like haha and like comes back over to you and hands it to you.
Okay. I wonder if I can actually create an attachment to. No, I cannot. Because, I'm a modder. It's kind of what I do. So there you go. You now have, Kitra, a signature modulation pad. Do you have AUG dudes? Or no?
No, I don't. But
okay,
should probably do that. So yeah, she's coming in and she's got like several of these different data pads and stuff. She goes, "Look at this is not next gen. This isn't even current gen. This is like 3 gens ago."
Here. And I'll give you the the modulation pad, the signature modulation pad. So what it basically does is whenever anyone tries to trace you while you're slicing, they'll add two setback dice on attempts to acquire your signature. So basically, this makes you even more stealthy.
And at first, like she takes it. Her eyes are kind of like wide, and then all of a sudden, she kind of gets this look on her face, and she's like, "Wait, what do you want?"
I would like you to slice and not get caught. Hopefully, so if you have a way to get us off this station and also have a way of making us more money from some other things you might want to do, this would be good. So consider it, instead of being a negative, consider it a neutral, like I'm investing in my own future by investing in you.
Okay.
I mean, if you wish to take a pessimistic view of things, that's fine too. I'm fine. But
No,
here, have
no,
this.
I'm sorry. I just nobody's ever just given me something before without wanting something in return. Sorry, it's all new to me.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, I also got a free death stick. Would you like a free death stick?
No, those things will kill you.
Well, that's
Anyway.
why it's called a death stick and not like a minor injury or terrible inconvenience stick now, isn't it?
Right. So I'm gonna get to configuring this gear. You and the others should come up with a plan for after I slice into the Imperial network. Again, hopefully undetected.
We always come up with brilliant plans. Right? Yeah.
So yeah, she's got like this, I imagine just like this basket, and it's got all these different cables and all this other stuff that she's got to like cobble together and configure and all the tech gear stuff. So she'll be working on that for a little while.
So as you're like walking around this place, it's like pretty big. If you imagine like not quite a supermarket, but something like that, like there are aisles. Considering like this is a market, it's quite unusual. It's like one of the bigger shops here, and it's pretty busy. As Kishal, you're like walking around, and like maybe looking up at like some of the stuff, like in the gun section. There's this. Hey.
He tries not to look at the sound. Yeah. Because he's kind of like looking at a blaster.
Where's the droid?
That brings his head around to see what it is.
It's the other person who had been on the roof with the woman. It's not her, but it's the other person you think Black Sun.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's droid's where we left him.
What'd they pay you?
Enough.
What's he gonna do with the droid? Is he gonna sell it?
What do you think he's gonna use with the droid? He's gonna extort people, kill people with it. That's what I'd do.
So, it seems like you owe us a little something. You're traveling with someone who owes us quite a lot, actually. And
I think his eyebrow comes up at that.
Don't be surprised. Everyone owes us.
No. He didn't know.
Yeah.
Not that he's surprised that some people owe them.
Yeah. The Imperials are going to get this droid. We don't want that. You don't want that. Doesn't want that. Nobody wants that. What can we do about that? The droid, can it be restrained?
No. though I welcome you to try.
He like looks at the
I
sky.
have seen that thing in action. It was utterly terrifying. I've never seen something move so quickly and kill so efficiently. Would be beneficial for us. We got it.
Then how do we get it?
Let me tell you a secret. And he leans in really close. He goes, treat it like a black sun. Don't treat it like an object.
All right. Tell Keitra her family says hi. And then he'll like,
Yes.
he'll like walk.
Big smile spreads across Kishal's face because now he knows.
He'll walk away and like vanish seemingly pretty quickly. As the rest of you are like walking around this place and sort of browsing, I guess. Is there anything else anyone wants to buy while you're here?
So I was just looking through the equipment thing, and I imagine this would be something that I'd have to get Cassian to ask his friend about. But there's a thing here that's caught Shell's eye, or my eye, as it fired as much, which is a false voice transmitter.
Ooh.
Basically allows you to like synthesize other people's voices and like use that in comms.
Is it restricted? Or is it, what kind of rarity
Probably.
is it?
Rarity is 6.
Okay. So you'll probably be able to get that. What does it cost? So I don't have Ogdu's open.
1,400. So
Okay.
it's not cheap. But
Yeah. Well, understandably.
yeah, that's exceedingly useful though.
Yeah. Okay, so you can find Vex, I guess, and ask him.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
imagine that there's the handshake moment of like, hey, Cassian, who's your friend? You should introduce us, sort of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely do that. What I am gonna do is I'm just gonna I'm taking this time to kind of look at attachments to start adding to all the toys.
Right.
Or at least all to onto my one.
Sure.
So what I would say is I guess I'll buy the requisite parts and I'll just do what I got to do on that one.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yep. So you can I think up to like rarity 6 at least you can find in here. I think anything beyond that you'll need to talk to your guy and like do some haggling and negotiating. And I think like when you get to like rarity 8 upwards, it's going to be really hard to find anything of that rarity.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I'm making sure that anything I get is probably going to be not restricted.
Yeah.
Or at least that'll be that's the attempt, because gosh darn, there's a lot of restricted mods on this.
Right. You can look for those certainly. Like if you want, like this is a black market. So like it's possible they might have those things, but you can imagine the markup will be extreme, unlike restricted goods.
Okay.
But it's not inconceivable that they might have those things. And yeah, so I would say for you then, Shell, he will charge you $2,000 for it, but he will have one.
Yeah, Shell will be pretty displeased with the price, but I think at this stage they're not really in a position to like sit around and talk it out for a while. So yeah, I'll just pay it.
Well, you can do a negotiate roll if you like, if you're good at that.
I am good at that. So yeah, I think he'll do that. It's just kind of the like, come on, I know you got to make your money here, but this is a little bit much. Like, I'm a friend of your friend here. Like, you should be able to give us the member discount, sort of spiel.
Yeah. He'll make a joke about him not being his friend. And then we'll continue haggling. So you can give me a negotiate, and it'll be 3 purples.
Alrighty. Check real quick to make sure I don't have any special things, and I don't with that one. No, no deal.
No deal. So he says, he's not my friend. You can pay the 2,000, or you can not have it.
Shell will just like sigh and like look over at Cass, like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing with this guy? But then I'll just, regardless, like good naturedly, will pass over the cred stick.
Okay. Yep. And you have it. Let's take a break here, and you guys can do some more shopping and stuff if you feel like it. And then we'll have this like brief oasis of calm turn into a shitstorm. So back in like a couple of minutes. Okay. To install a mod, I don't know. I'll look it up and see. I guess it'll be like probably a 2 purple check to install a mod. Would be my gut, but I'll have a quick look and see if I can find it. Installing mods. To install a mod, the user selects one install mod modification option. Spend 100 credits on components and supplies. Make sure you have a toolkit. Spends a couple of hours at the workbench and makes a hard mechanics check. So 3 purples.
Okay. I think that's fair.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so that's what that is.
Well, I won't do it yet, but I will roll
Sure.
now just to make sure. So the first one, yeah, I think I nailed it.
You absolutely nailed it. Yep. So I'll say you won't spend the credits because of that triumph, or you'll get the credits back basically in terms of components.
Okay, cool. And then this will be my second, and he'll be my second one because I'll do the second one. What happened? Oh, that's why. I didn't realize that. Didn't realize it reset after every single one. And second one.
Oh my god. Okay. You are okay. So like this is 2 triumphs installing these mods, so I feel like those mods have been installed, and I think they have quality. Some of the mods.
They do, yeah.
Like additional things. So I'll allow you to install a free additional. Like sometimes when you're installing like, I don't know, like fucking a damage mod or whatever, you can give damage mod +1 or whatever.
Okay.
And that like when you install the mod, there's like a second section where you can add additional things on top.
Yep.
I'll allow you to put 2 extra things on.
Okay.
Because you just like absolutely smashed it out of the park 100 times with these rolls. Turns out you're good at modding weapons, huh? Who'd have thunk?
As it turns out, oh god, yeah. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay, perfect.
I accept.
Does
You have kind of caught my eye with the dueling pistol recommendation, and now
Yes.
I'm looking at it. So I think I might pick one of those up too. It's just rarity 5,
Yep.
750 credits.
Yep. If you want to negotiate, you could try and get that price down.
It's good, but just understand that it's got 1 round before you got to reload it.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
still have my own blaster pistol.
Yeah. But it's good for that first
which is
shot.
Exactly. Yeah, that like we just need to shoot this guy and have him be dead
Yeah.
now,
Mhm.
sort of thing. In case of emergency, pull trigger. Yeah, I guess I might as well try.
Yeah.
To negotiate. I
Sounds-
only lose something if the roll goes bad.
Yep. It's 2 purples.
There we go.
Okay. Yep. All right. So we'll drop it to 600.
Perfect. I'll buy it. Imagine it's just one of those things like, dude, I already gave you 2,000 credits,
Yes.
dude. Like, just come on.
He's like, I'll throw in a dueling
Do me
pistol
a
for
favor
you.
on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else want to buy anything in this space Walmart?
Oh, that was good. That was really good.
Lionel, are you looking at fancy guns? Do you want to buy something?
I'm actually looking at grenades
Oh boy.
because that is Kashal's jam. He likes things that go boom and
Yeah.
make
Well-
fire and stuff.
If you buy in bulk, there's a discount.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that what the sign says?
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, thermal detonators do 20 damage. If you want to boom.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of like explosives and stuff, like they would have those here too. I think like within reason. I think thermal detonators is probably quite hard to find, but I actually don't know if they are or not. But my assumption is that they're like at least restricted, if not.
They're rarity 8.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
they're
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't just sell it like you know how you're trying to like make something, you just need like 1 or 2 eggs, but
Yeah.
then you gotta go buy like the whole carton.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to buy like a whole carton of
Yeah.
thermal detonators.
Carrying around a portable nuke, basically.
Yeah, actually, the only thing I would like to buy 4 stim packs.
Yes, no problem. You can just get those at cost price.
Yeah.
All right, so you have a bit of time to do some purchasing, but you know that there are like Imperials like searching the station for you. I imagine this has gone pretty quick. Like you've come in and you've been dreaming of what you're going to buy. I think because you've never had this amount of money before ever, and like now you have money. You're like, like every poor person, like I have money, must spend it immediately. And so I think you just like run in here like this, bam. And so if you want to do and buy anything, just let me know, and then we'll carry on. Yeah, you'll also want to buy fuel at some stage, and that's very expensive. Oh, you bought fuel last time, right? You fueled up. Yeah. You did. You went and fueled up with the Qualish guy on the planet. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, with the droid's mom planet.
Okay, cool.
And we also have our slush fund that hopefully is like automatically generating credits. But like just enough to, nothing to like break anything. I think just enough to like incidentals, party fund thing.
Yep. Okay. So if no one else wants to buy anything, yeah. So as you know, like the Imperials have basically locked down the hangar, in the hopes that no one gets away with this expensive droid. So what do you want to do?
I think we should not get killed. I mean, I think that's pretty high in our priorities.
Good starting point.
Yeah.
I want to get off of this place because this place is about to literally explode. But that'll be tough. We'll have
Question.
To pull some shenanigans.
Well, I have an idea. With your new equipment kit, is there a way that you can possibly bring up a station map?
Can I bring up a station map?
Yes, that is exactly what I asked you.
Yes, I can bring up a station map.
Wonderful. I don't understand why you had to repeat the question, but that is fine. So, perhaps there is a way that we can move through some ducts or some other ways and try to sneak around where our ship is to find the closest, quickest, easiest way to get to where we need to get to.
So I don't think there would really, I could be wrong, but I don't think there really would be a need to hack to get a station map. I mean, that should be just go to any terminal and be like map.
Yep, you can do that.
Mall, and it's like you're here.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
Now there are probably like many secret passages on this place, but like, in terms of like the known routes and stuff, definitely.
Yeah, general map. So the issue is not
they've got our place locked down, so we can get to our ship easily enough, but getting on the ship and out the door, it's going to be the tough one.
Yeah, I don't see them letting anyone off this rock unless they have their droid or a suspect in custody.
Especially not a bunch of thug-looking people like us.
So we need to give them something to chase.
They might have the hangar locked. If they do, we'll need to find a way to unlock it so we can get the ship out. Not going to be enough just to draw them away.
Now that I may be able to help with. I'm going to try to access the hangar system.
Okay, now we're talking. Yep, you can do that. So give me some slicing. let's say it will be 3 purples.
3 purples. Does my gear give me a boost?
Does it usually?
I believe so.
What's your gear?
The slicer gear. Let me see here.
Slicer gear itself doesn't seem to give a boost.
I think it just lets you slice.
Slice. Gotcha.
Now, I think there is
there is equipment that you can get for slicing.
data spikes.
Yes.
I think they're called.
Either data spikes, or if you want to feel really, really Gucci, you can get a data breaker or even a Black Ops
Yes.
data breaker,
So these are all
which
things you could potentially buy in the shop. I'm trying to find where is. There is like specific slicer gear that you can buy to make it easier. Slicing tools. Here we go.
Yep. So there's the Black Ops data breaker, as Mike said, which just gets you like 2 boosts to any slice check, basically, which is pretty crazy. There's data spikes, which are like single-use versions of that. You just like shove the spike in the terminal, and it gives you a bonus.
Okay. Well, I think the Black Ops, if that's let's see, add 2 boosts to computer checks for slicing computers, add 1 boost to opponents attempting to locate. Oh, perfect. All right. I guess I'll bite the bullet on that one.
It makes it easier to track you, but you also just bought a thing to not get tracked, right? Modulation pad.
Yeah, it
adds 2.
It adds 2 setback. Add 1 boost die to opponents attempting to locate
So
the
then
data breaker.
if you have the Black Ops data breaker and the modulation pad, you'll basically have enemies will have 1 setback to find you instead of 2.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's only if I use the Black Ops.
Right.
But in this instance, I think I would use it just because the difficulty here. Okay. Boom. Roll it. Ooh.
Okay. So a success and a triumph even.
That's a rough one.
There's so much threat, man. That's like equivalent to a despair and more. Okay, so you managed to.
Well, you know,
yes.
If it's equal to a despair and the triumph cancels out the despair, so and then you just got 3 successes, and so we're good to go.
Well, it would be 3 successes and 2 threat.
Yeah, I know. I'm being a total bitch. Total bitch.
I'd rather have it all. It's more interesting that way.
So you do manage to unlock the sort of hangar frequency, because they had like basically made it so the ship can't pass through the force field, basically that stops the vacuum just sucking everything out of the hangar.
Well, ultimately, the main thing was I was just trying to gain access to the hangar system.
Okay.
So with the success, I have that.
Okay.
I think the triumph would give me the back door so that I don't have to brute force into
like
it.
Admin access.
Yeah, basically I can just go to any
Yeah.
terminal and admin access it. I think the threat would be that
it might be our old pal. Someone's hacking.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it basically is like because they were already looking, right? They're already looking for somebody.
Yeah, they've already been breached today.
Yeah,
like 20 minutes ago. Yeah.
Right. So I think this would go off again, and this would basically send out a signal that the system is being sliced again.
Right. Okay. So like we do like a cut away, and you can see like the guy with the eye patch, and he's like talking to the other 2 who are like, we just couldn't find her, sir. I'm sorry. And then there's like this and he's like, and like pulls out his data pad, and he's like, over there, and they start running in that direction. But you are in to the hangar system, and because you have like a bunch of levels of the hack really quickly skill, I think you'll have a bit of time to do things. Even so.
Yeah. So
you can unlock the hangar definitely, and then if there's anything else you want to try and do, you can do so.
So I got our way into the system, so we can unlock the hangar doors in a pinch if we need to. And
so depending on how crazy and insane you want to be, you could turn off the force field entirely, and everyone in the hangar, including all the stormtroopers, would go into space.
Yeah, I'm not that murderous.
But I think Keitra probably wouldn't do that. But
Yeah.
even so.
So, and I think with the modulator there, when she's slicing, I think it would kind of do like in those movies where it's all like, oh, this IP is like pinging from like over
Yes.
here and over here. So like, I'm having them chase different terminals and not the terminal that we're at. So yeah, just like while we're in the system, anything else while I'm here? We have mere moments before I have to disconnect.
I don't think so.
I think we're good.
Okay. So yeah, then I would just terminate the connection and we'll close up my gear, put it in my satchel, and okay, let's move away from as far away from this terminal as we can get.
What's the plan now?
We just like make a gun for the hangar. Like, I don't know at this stage what else to do other than just like try to get the heck out of here.
I was gonna say if we start flying, I mean, I just feel like they're gonna give chase. They're gonna know it's.
Well, here's the thing. As long as we go, jump in, fly out, jump to hyperspace, and go somewhere, then we should be okay. Go to hyperspace, and as soon as we land in that one spot, make another hyperspace jump in an entirely different area. And while we're doing that, maybe I'll see if I can mask our signature somehow.
What do we do with the professor?
Well, we could maybe, sit down and talk with her for 20 minutes while we're in our ship and see if she wants to, get out, or maybe she just comes with us and then we can talk to her about that as soon as it happens. How about that?
I don't know that we have 20 minutes. Especially
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I see. You're doing that thing that I was doing with the, can we just go? Let's go.
So the plan, as I understand it, is you're going to try and run to the ship.
We can find a way in that's not just the main door. That would be ideal.
Yeah, like definitely.
Keitra was just in. I think it would have been really possible for you to like find a sort of like overlay for the map that is like there are tunnels here, because it's an asteroid,
like the maintenance tunnel or something.
Yeah.
So then you'll come out basically out of like a manhole close to your ship, as opposed to like having to walk across the entire hangar. So like moving through, and yeah, you can come out like and like pop it open, and you can see that there are like, the hangar's fucking huge, a couple of football fields in terms of how big it is, and there are like all these ships and stuff, but there is like a pretty significant amount of Imperials here that are like locking down the area. Now it doesn't make, thankfully, any sort of like gigantic like woo, 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 woo noise when you turn off the field blocker, so no one is like freaking out about that. It just looks the same, it acts the same, and yeah, you're probably like you are, what do you call it, like long distance from your ship in terms of gun range, which in terms of running range is not that far at all.
That's 3 moves?
3 moves, yeah.
I mean, how about this? When we are ready to go, you signal Chip to open up the door, and then we run. Just run, right? Well, either we run or we stealth or whatever do we have to do, but get on the ship as quickly as possible.
Shell will like look over to Keitra and say, "Can you," and I'll kind of like try to like motion over towards, like bring the cover back down so that they're not like pointing, out in full view of these people. But like, if you can fidget with the main door, like the one that we would have come through if we just walked in, I can pull a trick. I think if the two of us work together, we might be able to pull something on them. And I'll like hold up this like device that he's just bought in the store. So basically, what if possible, if Kitra would be willing and able to, like, just even if it's just like opening the door of the hangar, whatever it is, something as simple as that.
That should be possible, I think.
Yep.
And what I would like to do is basically use this thing that I've just purchased, the false voice transmitter. And I'm going to modify it to like an Imperial stormtrooper. To basically like give it somebody else's voice, and then also that like stormtrooper helmet crackle sound too, and basically like as the door opens to like shout as a stormtrooper, some Imperial alert signal that the main door is opening and that people need to like run to go intercept whatever is coming or something like that.
Okay, seems like a good plan to me. I will need a 2 purple hacking check from you, Kitra. And I will need a 2 purple deception from you, Shell.
Alrighty, and the voice transmitter lets me upgrade 1 check when I'm impersonating a voice.
Sick.
So I will
Turns a green to a yellow.
go ahead. Yes. So let's see, deception. Ooh. Sorry, what was the purple?
2 purples.
All right. So my deception is just 2 yellow. So upgrading, would that just be adding a green? How does that work?
Yes. I don't know. Do you know, Mike, offhand? If you only have yellows in a skill and then you upgrade it, does it make it a green? Like an additional green?
Yeah. So you will add 1 green
Okay.
on top of your purples.
Yeah.
And then even if I did, I don't know that there would be any setbacks, but I remove a setback on deceptions
Okay.
as well.
Okay, so so Kitra definitely like and the door opens. So it's not a success, but there is advantage and triumph involved. What do we think happens? So like it obviously doesn't pass as like a stormtrooper voice.
Or maybe it's the like you try to like say it and you try to make it clear, but it comes out like broken and garbled. And so instead of everyone kind of like running, they kind of like
It's like wait, copy? What was that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, maybe they all start like
It's
they're
like
all
a-
distracted and they kind of start
Yeah, a
wandering
code-
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, actually,
Like,
maybe it's
just like, wait, what? Yeah.
it's that, and then like because of the way the frequency works, it does like a like feedback in everybody's helmet.
That's the worst.
And so they're like, "What? Copy?" And they turn up the sort of gain or whatever to get a better. And then it's just like, and you can see them all like. It will cause a distraction certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it won't displace any of them
Yes.
location-wise, but they'll all be kind of like, oh, what's going on?
Yep. All right. So yeah, this all happens at once, and then you can like flip the lid up, and you can see like Chip is like lowering the bridge for you to get on. And you're running, you're able to get there, and you can see that like as you're running, like one of them is like, and he like points, and he's like, get up, like all protocol out of the way because his ear is probably bleeding from like the feedback, and he's just like fires randomly in sort of that direction, but it's too little, too late, and you're able to get onto the ship and pull the drawbridge up, and I think taking off is not an issue. Can somebody give me an astrogation? Actually, you're not trying to go any specific, are you? You're just trying to hyperspace away.
Well,
We just
no,
need
but that's
to not
the thing.
hit a planet or a
That's-
star.
That's the
Which
thing,
is
though,
pretty
is that
easy, yeah.
you technically do need to astrogate because you can't hyperspace into nowhere.
Yes. Yep.
So I will make a very quick astrogation check, and I'll say that we're going to, and I'm not 100% sure about the map and where we
Sure.
are, but whatever planet, maybe like 2 or 3
Parsecs or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And basically I want to go, I was gonna say, like, I'll suggest going 2 or 3 parsecs away, stopping there, and then making it an immediate other jump as soon as it's possible to spin it up, just to get out of the immediate vicinity.
Perfect. Okay, so I think it's 3 for. So you go.
I was just going to say that I would also think in this confusion, since we are on this scoundrel-filled rock, that once the doorway is open, we wouldn't be the only ship jumping.
Yes. Oh, definitely. But like, no one else knows it's open at the moment until your ship goes through it. You know.
Yeah.
Because it looks the same, but
Yeah.
when you do, you can guarantee that it will be chaos. So I think it's 3 purples for an astrogation, as far as I know. So you can go ahead and do that.
Sure.
All right. Yep. You're getting there.
Well then. Well then.
Fucking Triumph heavy game tonight.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with that. All right. So I would say.
So maybe the triumph is that you've already factored in the next jump. In terms of like,
Okay.
you're going to go and then like immediately, like 20 seconds later, materialize and then again. So that there's really no trace in terms of where you're going.
Yep. And I think the only other thing, though, I think for the threat is maybe trying to mask the first jump didn't go well. And even though I was trying to like, kind of hide, they at least know the first position that we jumped to, but then the triumph kind of
Yes.
eats up the second one. So they have a place to start
Sure.
where I might have gone.
Okay, I like it. So you punch in this stuff and you're taking off, and you can see like stormtroopers like just in shock, like, how is this happening? What, like, because you see some of them are like looking at it like, ha ha ha, they're gonna splat themselves into the force field, and then you go through it and you can see them like just looking shocked, and then just firing like insanely, and then like as you like taking off, you can see that all the other crews around are just like running for their ships, and there's like blindly firing on civilians to like bring some sort of order. You can't be tracked through hyperspace by any means that you know of. There are ways to pull you out of hyperspace, but you don't even know that though, in terms of like where the tech is at this time. And so yeah, you get out far enough, and like the automated ships will like destroy some of the asteroids, like smaller ones around you, so that you have a clear path, and then you're out and away from this place. And then like 20 seconds later, you back into real space, and then again off. And like sweating profusely, I imagine, and just like exhaling for the first time in like a long time, you find yourself free of Skip 1 and of Imperial pursuit.
I'd like to use a free action to unclench my sphincter.
Yes.
Both of them. And I what I'd probably do is I'd probably turn ship control over to Chip while he flies it, and then I was going to work on my mods.
Sure.
And oh boy, due to those rolls, my blaster now does 2 extra damage, and now has 2 piercing.
Oh, very nice. That's
So-
an effective blaster.
However, because this is why I love, like, you don't just get something for nothing. So of course the attachment also adds 1 setback every time I use it.
Okay.
If I use it, like if I use the attachments, so the attachments can like turn on and off, but I'll use that. Oh, I'll take that setback. I'll take it.
Perfect. Where are you going now?
That is a very good question.
I hear Naboo is nice this time of year.
I'd not even begun to think of anything other than
Getting out.
immediate danger. Yeah. Anybody
Oh.
have any friends?
Well, I know a guy,
So in terms
but
of
I do.
but next session.
in terms of where we are, like in terms of the game, like if you have your own sort of quest you want to pursue, or like goals you want to pursue, like we can do that for a bit instead of me being like, here's the thing. So if you have anything you want to like pursue or whatever, now is the time to do it, I think. we are getting close to like finishing the session, so we might just call it, and then we can talk about it, and then next, like in the chat or whatever, next week next time we'll know.
Yeah, that might be the easiest way, honestly.
As
Yeah, I
opposed-
think so. Yeah,
As opposed to like another
I
20
have
minutes of
zero ideas. Yeah.
hemming and hawing.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we'll call it there. Thanks for watching. If you did, bye.